What's up, old soul? I'm starting to believe that there are basically two ways to be successful, two views, two perceptions that you have to have in life: now and forever. Now, this to be successful doesn't necessarily mean monetarily, but it means to be emotionally, spiritually, to be fully, truly alive. I think I failed to do this, and everyone at one point fails to do this, and very few people achieve it. What do I mean? When I say now and forever, I think a lot of people understand that to truly live, we have to be in the present moment. Hear the sounds around us, see the things around us. We need to get out of automatic pilot mode. And I know that I'm definitely guilty of being in automatic pilot mode. One of the ways that I do that is to worry about things that are in the future, things that I know are coming up that I have no logical solution for. But have you ever tried to fit a car into a parking spot? Now, what happens is, inside the vehicle, it looks very, very difficult. It looks like it's not big enough. The angles are off. You just don't know how to get that square, rectangular vehicle into that spot. And you have to do forward and back, and you have to come in at different angles, and you got to kind of move the wheel, and sometimes you do all of that and it's kind of off, but you can fit it in, right? From the outside, the person on the sidewalk, they're like, what? This guy doesn't know how to drive. Like, just go right in. You have all this space. I've seen it when I've seen people double parked, and the guy's in the smallest car he possibly can, and he's like inching through and looking at each side and panicking while there's a big giant truck that just goes right past, going at regular normal speed, not even stopping, because he's able to judge the distance between the two things. So you have to be an expert on the now, of living and experiencing the things that are happening right now without necessarily having a thought for tomorrow. Now, I watched a show where this guru said it's like, if you're constantly in the now, it's like you're shutting off part of your brain. Like, we've evolved, or we are these complex creatures that are able to see present and past, and to think and to formulate new ideas. So if you're always in the now, it's like you're a tree sap, right? A tree is always in the now. A rock is always present, always in the now. So it's not just enough to be present. One of our failings is that we can be somewhere else. I know I'm a daydreamer and I'm always somewhere else. And so the challenge for me is to be present. So what do I mean by forever? So I don't mean the future, and I don't mean the past, and I don't mean to have an eye constantly on the future, the past, and the now, because that's impossible. It is going to be so much of a reckoning. What I mean by forever, and what I think is a unique way of looking at it. I'm sure there's someone who's thought of it. There's nothing new under the sun, right? The Bible says all things have been thought of before. But what I think is a unique way, or at least what is helping me, is to also think of forever, which is the infinite, is to recognize the universalist, the infiniteness of the universe. It is a stable thing. There is nothing before it and nothing after it. We are a part of this great microcosm, this great macrocosm. We are a microcosm of the microcosm. We are a part of this gigantic universe that is functioning, living, and moving and breathing, somewhat independent of us, but it's not. We are a part of it, so we're not independent. We are a part of this world. So as you think of that foreverness, the infiniteness of the universe, the potential for it to go on forever and ever is beyond the way that our mind can conceive. But the Bible says that infinity is in our hearts, has been placed in our hearts by our Creator. It's very hard to explain, and YouTube is probably not the best venue, but if on the one hand we need to live in the now, like I'm recording this video, I am speaking to you, I am thinking thoughts, I'm feeling the chair below me, I'm getting the temperature of the room, I'm hearing the sounds of my neighbor's music, I'm smelling the fact that this place needs to get cleaned up, probably, or refreshed, or the window needs to open. All these things are happening, and I need to be in the now. I need to really physically be present with this one-sided monologue that I'm having with you. But at the same time, in order to function as a sentient, living, spiritual being, I need to understand that I'm a part of this greater universe. And that is a forever. You need to know that the earth revolves around the sun, that the sun is how many years old, that the earth is so many years old, that you are the continuation of a lineage of grandparents and parents and cousins and uncles and aunts, and that humanity has been going along, and that there are infinite beings and infinite planets and infinite worlds, right? So because you're a part of that, what that does is the immediate problem that's before you, the life and death situation, the work situation, the emotional situation, the relationship situation, the health situation, it is placed within a perspective. You don't want to be disconnected from the now, but you also don't want to let the now be so ever present that you forget that it is a life lived moment by moment, that there will be a new moment, and that the moment before it has passed. It's shaping this current moment. The future will be a product of what you do in this moment. And no matter how unstable the world around you seems, it is very, very stable and fluctuate. If anyone's seen the graph, let's say you watched the movie and you've seen when they do the heartbeat, it's like, right? The only thing that you need to really be worried about is when that line goes flat and there's no movement, there's no motion. But if you stretch that line graph out to its infinite structure, it's a line. It's a sobering thought to realize that if you die, the world will continue. That if you lose your job, the world will continue. That if you're sick, immobile, broken up, divorced, heartbroken, the world will continue. You can look at that in a negative light and say that my life is meaningless. But you can also look at it in a positive light and say that I cannot break this world. That I can live fully, experientially, and do what is required of me without the fear that I will break the things around me. And I believe if you have the now in mind, if you're living each moment as it comes, taking it as it is, keeping in mind the past, keeping in mind the future, but not letting it control you, and realizing that each decision you make is a fork in the road, and it can lead to a greater or a lesser. But there will constantly be forks in the road. There will constantly be this steady line, this steady fluctuating line that will keep going. If the universe ever ends, that's not really a problem you need to worry about, because nothing will exist. But as long as something exists, there is hope. There is a future. There is another chance to improve and to get better. So why dwell on the ever-present failures? Once again, there are two things we need to focus on in life. And I don't say it as if to say, I'm trying to make it simplistic. I'm not saying it's not infinitely hard, that it's not the most difficult thing to do. But you have to, when you're in your most, I hope you're watching this when you're in your most difficult moment. And I need you to think about the fact that right now at this point, if you're able to stop and think, that means that you are of sound mind, somewhat sound body, and that whatever has just happened or whatever will happen is something that is in your imagination. It is not real. But the ability to think, the ability to make sense of everything, you have control over that. And whatever decision you make will not break the universe. It will not break the pattern. So why not live 100% to the fullest capability that you are able to? For many of us, we're not faced with life and death decisions. For many of us, these crises are in the mind. They are the personal things that haunt us. But the worst man that has ever lived compared to the best man that has ever lived, the universe eats them up the same. And I would encourage you, as someone who is set apart, who is not lost in the matrix of this world, to really, 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 really stop and take stock of where you are and what you are a part of. I don't know how else to explain this more simply, because it is such a complex thing and it's taken me decades to learn, and I still struggle with it. I don't know who's going to watch this, and I don't know what they're going to get out of it. But the purpose of this channel is to give you this knowledge freely, to use as you see fit. And I hope that I will not only be a producer of this content, but also a user of this content. And I hope that when I am lost in the throes of the difficulties of life, that I can watch this and be encouraged. And it's been a very difficult life. But I know that I'm in full control of this present moment, and that I cannot break this universe. So I can run wild and free. And happiness, contentment is well within my reach. Be blessed, my friends.